Hello, friends, and probably a lot of people I don't know. My name is Kevin. It's August 18 of 2020, and I'm doing episode 1, I guess, of my hopefully journey to whole health. I think we'll just quickly get into the backstory. I think in March and April probably started. Over those 2 months, I lost about 10 pounds. And I just figured maybe it's because I've been home a lot. We haven't been eating out. Maybe I didn't eat. Maybe I skipped meals. I don't know. I didn't really pay attention. But I don't really want to lose 10 pounds. In May, the gyms opened here in Florida. And so I went back to the gym. And I noticed that I was like 40% weaker. Like I could pull 40% less. I was having other issues. I noticed that I couldn't do chin-ups. And normally I could do 10. So I tried to work on building back the strength to do a pull-up. Then I noticed that I couldn't do push-ups either. And that was a little bit shocking because push-ups are not hard to do, especially for someone with my build. So I worked out and I found that some of the muscles would grow, like the biceps and the triceps seemed to really get stronger. I was able to build up to doing push-ups. I started with push-ups on my knees, then I went back to my feet, and I could get up to 9. But then I noticed other problems later in June. My right shoulder became very weak. I had trouble raising this arm. And then in the middle of June, maybe, third week or so, I noticed that I was having some difficulty swallowing. So I would easily choke on food. It wasn't like scary choking, but why is food not being swallowed properly? So at this point too, I'd like to just document what the muscle issues look like. They've kind of been stuck the same for the last month and a half. And I'm going to have to remove my shirt for that. I apologize. We'll speed this part up. Whew, that was much more difficult than it should be. So, from the front, which is the angle that I generally look at myself from, I look skinny, but I don't look, well, to me anyway. I look skinny. These collarbones might be a little more pronounced than I'd like, but I just look kind of skinny, right? But when you look at me from the side, this shoulder kind of disappears at this bone here, and that's not normal. I used to have a normal round shoulder. Just look at my back for a second. Don't stare at my farmer's tan, but basically this shoulder is really shrunken. I've lost now 17 pounds maybe. So put my shirt back on for a second. So you can see that it's a little more difficult than really should be. But I've lost 17 pounds now, and my waist size has not changed, not half an inch. So I've really been losing muscle mass, kind of, really, in my body, mostly in my upper body, a little bit in the upper legs, and the throat area is having issues. So end of June, I finally made an appointment to see my primary care physician because the swallowing, the appointment was for end of June. And I went to see my doctor, and she was like, well, let's test your thyroid, because you're losing weight. My thyroid was healthy. She tested the liver as well, and my liver enzymes were kind of high. So she's like, well, do you drink a lot? You have to look into alcohol or drugs that can cause liver problems. I'm like, I don't drink. I drink once or twice a month, maybe one drink each time, maybe two. And I've never done drugs. So she's like, well, and I tell her, it feels like my muscles are dying. They're just disappearing because I've lost all the strength. I forgot to demonstrate earlier what it looks like when I use my muscles. So my left arm, I can raise it up kind of normal. It's heavy, but I can still use it. My right arm, if I try to raise it up over my head, I can get above here. Then I have to put my hand on my head and pull my arm up so I can get it above here. Once it's here, I can use my tricep. If I go from the side, my right arm can only get that high. Then it gets too heavy for me to lift. So that's not a very useful arm, right? But so she ordered the test for muscle breakdown, I guess. The test is CK, or CPK used to be called. It stands for creatine kinase. And that test looks for evidence of muscle breakdown. So the normal range is 50 to 200, according to the test results. My results came back at 8,000, which was very high. So at this point, my doctor encouraged me to get an appointment to a rheumatologist, and I was searching, and I tried to find a really good one, and I did find a really good one, and I got lucky. It was 3 weeks after that I got my appointment with my rheumatologist. She's amazing. And during this time, because I'm like, what could this be? And from understanding what rheumatologists look at and looking at my symptoms and family friends who are doctors or friends of family friends who are doctors, has suggested that it sounds like I might have myositis, and it is good to see a rheumatologist and probably a neurologist just to help me diagnose it. So looking into myositis, which is something I'd never heard of, seems like it's not that common. It is an inflammatory disease where your immune system attacks your muscles. And there are many different versions of myositis, which is what I'm learning now. And so, I had this appointment with a rheumatologist, but looking on the internet, there's a lot of people who believe that a lot of health issues today have a root cause of your body being in an inflammatory state. And I read a book that my neighbor had recommended to me. He's done a lot of study in this field that talks about how to eat anti-inflammatory, so the opposite of an inflammatory diet. And so I started doing that like 3.5 weeks, maybe 4 weeks ago. And the issue that I had with switching to an anti-inflammatory diet, where I was eating like spinach and broccoli and blueberries, avocados, and staying away from white bread, white rice, no processed foods. Like I wasn't eating the normal snacks that I would eat before, no chips, nothing fried. The issue that I had was that the first week on that diet, I lost 2 more pounds. And that was not what we wanted. I didn't want to lose more weight. But I realized that the anti-inflammatory diet, is healthier. It's not a lot of calories. When you eat a lot of spinach, you get full and you're not eating enough calories. So the second and third and now the 4th week, I started eating a lot more of the fatty parts of the anti-inflammatory diet. I would eat more avocados. I was putting coconut oil extra when I was cooking foods. I'm eating a lot more nuts, macadamias and almonds and cashews. And just trying to make sure I eat enough calories so I don't lose weight. And the last 2 or 3 weeks, I've lost maybe half a pound. So that's been a lot better. So anyway, I went to see the rheumatologist, and she encouraged me to keep eating the anti-inflammatory diet because it's healthy anyway. And even if it doesn't cure me, it might cure me, but even if it doesn't, it's definitely better for my health. She ordered more blood tests, and she double-checked. She wanted to see how's my liver doing now, and she also wanted to make sure that my liver was healthy in case she was going to prescribe some medications. So we did the liver test again. My enzymes are still high. My CK, though, has dropped from 8,000 to 6,000. And she's also had me submit. I also did a test, and this is at Quest. They have a myositis panel where they test for a bunch of myositis antibodies or markers, I guess. They're antibodies will be in your blood if you have some of, they're commonly found in your blood when you have myositis. So that test came back 4 days ago, and I did test positive for one of the antibodies that's commonly associated with myositis. I also have like these weird rashes. They're kind of hard to see. Like on this knuckle, it's a little purple. You might not really be able to see it, but that ring knuckle's a little purple. I have like this eyelid rash that's a little bit odd. I didn't really pay attention to them because they're pretty mild and they kind of come and go. Those are often also symptoms of myositis. There's a version of it called dermatomyositis. We don't really know which one I have right now, but we know that I have myositis, and so the treatment plans for all the different versions of myositis seem to start the same. At this point, my doctors are not recommending steroids because we're in a pandemic, and steroids compromise your immune system, so they would make me more susceptible to COVID. It looks like, I don't know yet for sure, but it looks like I may be starting on IVIG. I have an appointment with a neurologist in 2 days to do an EMG, and EMG is a test they do to make sure my nerves are not also a problem. And if they rule out any nerve issues, looks like I could be starting IVIG treatment really soon. And so this is just video 1. It's like an introduction of what I've been going through and how I think I'm almost at a diagnosis. It's pretty close. And we'll just see how it goes. And hopefully my arms will go back to normal and the rest of my body. And maybe this could be helpful for somebody else who's going through similar things, or maybe there's people out there who can give me some advice too. So leave a question, leave a comment. I'll be reading them. I'll be replying to them. And until next time, this is the end of episode 1. Thanks for watching.